Okay, so here's something that we do over time. Just teaching the play, and this is a great off-season drill. This is a great drill, maybe to refresh if you guys are, need to tighten up. But we do this a decent amount during the year. We do it a lot during the off-season. It's, it could just be on bags. It could just be, something you're walking through. But getting the idea of where we need to go, who's kicking, who's inserting, where to insert, what the exchanges are, and what the defense is going to do. So here's a box look, right? So we're just getting a box end. Now, the amount of box ends I've seen since, 2018, 2019 has been very few. Okay, we're getting a lot more spill defense, right? So we're going to get a lot more, heavy wrong arm or wrong shoulder, trying to spill that to the next guy. So we practice box still just so we know what it looks like, because sometimes we'll artificially create space with some of our front side movements where we might get a kick out, even though the team is a spill defense. So we'll talk about those a little bit later. Okay, but here's a box. So guard's going to kick it out. We're kick right with we're kick right shoulder. Okay, we want to make sure we're kicking this thing out. Okay, and then the Y is going to insert. So that's really, this is what the drill is, right? We have a center, we have a backside guard, we have the tight end. Okay, and then we have the quarterback, and sometimes we'll have the running back in this. Okay, so he can really go A gap, B gap, out, or inside hip of the second polar. And all you need are bag holders. So extra O linemen generally is what this ends up being. And then they just go through the movements, right? Here's a box and just fit it straight up. Okay, and then here's the next one. This is a spill, right? So we're going to get the backer to overlap. Okay, and then we're going to have the end crash inside. So the guard is really, and we got this from a lot of different people. Coach Flood at Texas talks about this a lot. Really like the idea of it. And we've been running with it for about a year or so. Is we're not necessarily always looking, to log this thing, right? You're going to log it every once in a while, because kids just naturally, a lot of times when they get it squeezed so far, they want to flip their hips around, right? Become just around this block. And then sometimes what happens is we over log this, and then he gets up inside and then comes back underneath. Okay, so we don't want that to happen. So what we say is, we're going to kick it. There is no log. We're just kicking it. Okay, and then if we don't kick it, we're just pinning them into the line. Okay, so we're going to pull for a kick. He crashes to wrong arm. We don't get the kick that we want. We're going to pin him into the line of scrimmage. Okay, and then the Y is going to work around the guard's block. If he pins it into the line, there's nowhere to insert, right? So then we're going to wrap around it. Now, if there is something hanging, so say we get partial kick out, but there's a piece of this end hanging in the gap, we're going to tell the Y, don't go around it. Treat it like you're the ball carrier. If you can squeeze through there, get your butt through there. And if there's anything hanging in your gap around or on your way to this guy, blow it up. Because what happens a lot of the times, sorry, let me get all this out of here. What happens a lot of the times, right, is we get a crash, we get a kick, or we get a partial kick. This guy overlaps because he thinks it's a spill, right? He thinks he's getting a spill. Then all of a sudden, this guy's hanging. We pull, bam, we clear it out. The backer overlaps, and then the back going A. Sorry, that's a bad A. B, inside hip of the polar, goes A, and then follows it to the B, overlap. He's out of the play. We double kick it, and then we basically don't have to block that guy. Okay, now that doesn't always happen, but it's something that you can tell your Y, so you don't always turn this into exactly what the defense wants, right? Wrong arm, log, spill. He comes here, spills the second polar, and then the ball's delivered to the safety, right? We don't want that to happen all the time. Okay, and then here would be a load. So say we're in 3 down. Okay, you can do this a couple different ways, depending on how aggressive these guys are. Now, if this guy's going to stay wide in 3 down and this guy's going to fit it tight, maybe you take your guard here and then you have him react there, or however you want to do it. There's different ways. That's the base way that we do it because we see a little bit more aggressive from those backers. So we're going to lock onto this guy here. and then we will kick the widest, and then we'll insert this guy second. Okay, and that would be our load. Okay, so we'd expect a little bit wider of a kick out here. And then this is important for the tight end to know. We need a little bit of depth because we want to hit this thing downhill, but also we want to make sure we don't get caught up in the trash, right? A lot of times what happens when you're facing some of these 4-eyes or some of these tight 5s that are playing in the B gap, when we crash inside and we collect it, if he gets up the field, we don't want to get hung up with our second puller. So these are things that you can practice to get an idea for the tight end and get an idea for your guards. Maybe you can do this as a GT drill where if you're running a lot of GT counters, some people are running some CT, CY. This is a great drill to practice some of those blocks and some of those different situations, because you can make a million different combinations, right? You can do a bunch of different stuff with these guys. And also, this doesn't have to be a heavy contact drill. This may be bag holders, just going through and getting in the way or getting to spots. So it doesn't have to be, crazy contact drill. This can be one that you get good reps, but make sure that, you're getting quality. So here's an overspill. Now this is a little bit different, and this is however you want to teach it. Maybe this is something that is a little crazy, but if the end is here and we're getting an overspill. So what I mean by overspill is these guys are basically, you get to down, right? We get a down from the tackle. And this guy just basically is, I'm wrong shouldering anything that comes through here. Next thing you know, he's down in the friggin' A gap, or he's in the backside A gap. Okay, so if teams are overspilling everything, what we want to do is we want to tell the guard to just bypass. Okay, so if he feels like he's squeezed to the guard or inside of the guard, we're just going to let this guy go as long as he's not stationary. Okay, but even if he's stationary, what we can do is we can work through his outside shoulder. Okay, now when we teach this, we want to make sure we let them see what the difference is between it. We show them the film of it. What's the difference between an overspill and just a spill? Okay. And then if it's an overspill, we're going to avoid, but we're always going to work through the outside shoulder of whatever we leave. So if that guy is real tight and maybe he does try to get back underneath, if we're heavy on the outside shoulder while we're wrapping, then we can get a piece of him on the way by and hold him, because where's the ball going to go, right? If we overspill, everything's going outside. So where's the back going to get on the inside hip of this guy? From what the Y is seeing, the read for him with an overspill block is that the guard's going wide, which means the Y is going wide, which means the back is going to follow the inside hip. So now what happens, and we'll see some clips of it, is the backer overlaps it. This guy takes himself out of the play. Now what? You gain one. You kick this guy with the guard. Now your tight end can get up to maybe the weak safety, and maybe that's all that's left. Okay, and we'll get to some clips here. This is just base counter in the 4 down. Okay, we'll jet, we'll move, we'll do a bunch of different things, and this is just some different variations. Now, what we try to tell the tight end to do is we're always going to jab with our left foot. Now, do we always do it? No, so I shouldn't say we always do. We tell them always to jab, to try to time it up a little bit better. That way, we're not right behind the guard, right? We don't want to be right behind because we don't want to get caught up. We don't want to go 2 for 2. Okay, so here is a spill. Now, what? This was 2019, or 2019, so this was a while ago. Okay, so what we'd want to do now is just pin this guy. Okay, and the track needs to be a little bit tighter and downhill. Pin this guy into the line, okay, and then the Y fits tight off of him. Now the ball's delivered to the safety. That's what we want. We want to make the safeties make a whole lot of tackles, and for us to get 5-6 yards a carry without even having any sort of contact. Okay, so again, this is just a simple GY counter, nothing complicated, nothing crazy.